In the winter of 1862, if you walked into a shop in New York or Boston and tried to pay, you might have handed the clerk something strange. A little brass disc, quarter-sized, with a postage stamp sealed behind a window of clear mica. Not a coin, a stamp pretending to be money, because by then the pennies had vanished. Real coins had simply disappeared from American pockets, and a young nation at war with itself was improvising money out of whatever it could find. At the center of that story sits a small copper coin that had only just been born, the Indian head cent. Its 50-year life would track the story of America itself, through Civil War, through Reconstruction, through the rise of the machine age, and it picked up more than a few strange tales along the way. It arrived quietly in 1859. Longaker, the mint's engraver, had crowned liberty with a Native American feathered headdress, and there's a beloved story about where that face came from. The tale goes that his young daughter was at the mint one day when visiting chiefs were there, that one of them playfully set his headdress on her head, and that her father sketched her on the spot. It's a lovely image. It's also almost certainly false. His daughter was a grown woman of about 30 at the time, not a child. The truth is less romantic. He modeled her features on a Roman statue, a Venus that happened to be on loan to Philadelphia from the Vatican. But the daughter's story was too charming to die, and collectors have repeated it for over a century. That's the first lesson of this coin. The legends around it are almost as durable as the copper. The country the cent was born into was about to tear apart. When the first shots hit Fort Sumter in 1861 and the Civil War began, ordinary Americans did what frightened people have always done with money. They held on to anything they trusted. First it was gold, then silver, and then, astonishingly, even the humble 1-cent piece. People hoarded pennies. By 1862, with the war going badly for the North and the outcome genuinely in doubt, there were moments when Confederate money traded higher than Union money. Coins of every kind evaporated from daily life. The mint responded by striking more and more cents. Production nearly tripled, then nearly doubled again, and still they vanished, swallowed up into jars and drawers and mattresses as fast as they came out. This created something hard for us to imagine today, a nation that couldn't make change. A shopkeeper might have plenty of goods and plenty of customers, but no coins to hand back. And in that vacuum, American ingenuity went a little wild. Merchants and private companies began striking their own money, small bronze tokens about the size of the cent that people passed around as if they were real. More than 10,000 different varieties of these Civil War tokens appeared, minted by the millions. Many were patriotic, stamped with slogans and flags and pleas for the Union. They contained less than a penny's worth of metal, and people used them anyway because they were better than nothing. And then there was the strangest solution of all. A sewing machine salesman named John Galt looked at the coin shortage and had an idea. Postage stamps already had a fixed government value, so why not use them as money? The problem was obvious to anyone who'd tried it. Loose stamps ended up as a sticky, ruined wad of paper in your pocket, so Galt patented a fix. He sealed a single stamp inside a little brass frame behind a sheet of transparent mica and called it new metallic currency. Suddenly, a stamp could survive being carried and spent like a coin. He sold these encased stamps to more than 30 merchants, and here's the clever part. He let them stamp advertising on the brass back. So a customer might spend a coin that was really a stamp wrapped in a frame advertising a bottle of patent medicine. It was money, packaging, and billboard all at once. A tiny artifact of American hustle, born entirely out of the shortage that had swallowed the Indian head cent. That desperation is exactly what changed the coin forever. Mint officials watched people happily accepting flimsy bronze tokens worth less than a cent and drew a shrewd conclusion. The public didn't actually care whether a penny contained a penny's worth of metal. They cared that it worked. So in 1864, the government made the cent lighter and cheaper, switching from the pale copper-nickel white cent to a thinner bronze coin. In the same stroke, Congress outlawed those private tokens that had filled the gap. The war had quite literally reforged the penny. And that 1864 bronze recipe worked so well it stayed the American standard for the next 118 years, all the way to 1982. When you spent a bronze cent as a kid, you were spending a decision made in the depths of the Civil War. There's a quiet detail collectors love from that same moment. When Longaker refined the design in 1864, he slipped his own initial, a tiny letter L, into the ribbon of Liberty's headdress, like an artist signing a corner of the canvas. Most people would never notice it. But that little L created one of the most prized varieties in the series, and finding one is a rite of passage for Indian cent collectors to this day. As the smoke cleared and the country entered Reconstruction, the penny came into its own. Peace and a rebuilding economy meant Americans finally wanted small change again, and the little Indian cent poured out by the tens of millions, greasing the wheels of shops and streetcars in the new machine age. But the coin still carried the fingerprints of hard times. In 1877, the economy sagged. Almost nobody needed new pennies, and the mint struck very few. That single lean year created the crown jewel of the whole series, the 1877 Indian head cent, the date every collector chases, worth hundreds, even worn smooth, and thousands when sharp. A bad year for the country became the great prize for collectors a century later. By the turn of the century, the little coin was woven so deeply into daily life that it gathered its own folklore. This was the era when the copper penny became a good luck charm. Find a penny, pick it up. The humble coin you carried for luck, tucked into a shoe or tossed for a wish. For 50 years, the Indian head cent had been the coin of the common person, the smallest unit of an ordinary day, passing through more American hands than almost any object in the country. Its end came, fittingly, with a birthday. In 1909, the nation marked 100 years since Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it wanted the fallen president, the man who had led the country through the very war that shaped this coin, on its most common piece of money. The Indian head cent was retired and the Lincoln cent took its place, putting a real, recognizable American face on a circulating coin for the first time. There was a strange symmetry in it. The penny that had been born just before the Civil War, that had survived the coin famine and been remade by the conflict, now stepped aside for the likeness of the man who had held the Union together. So the next time you see one of these worn little coins, a native headdress on one side, a wreath on the other, remember that it is not just old copper. It's a survivor of the days when America ran out of money and made its own, a coin shaped by war, hoarded by the fearful, imitated by merchants, replaced by stamps, remade by Congress, and finally handed down as a token of luck. That is the Indian head cent, 50 years of American history, small enough to lose in the crease of a couch cushion, and rich enough to fill a book.